case. Thank you very much. Mr. Huffman, welcome. I'm delighted that you're here. Gentleman's recognized.
Good to see you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Nice to be back in your hearing room and, of course, with our ranking member as well. Feels like just last winter we were here talking about the same subject, and it is important to acknowledge that while this is being represented as a drought bill, it's really not. It's a repackaging of a bill that was around before this drought, and that is one of the reasons why we're introducing actual drought legislation that has a number of co-sponsors from around the country, and we hope we'll have an opportunity to be in this room to talk with you about moving a Democratic alternative on responding to the drought forward at the right time. The bill title, pretty much everything in this bill is the same, that we have the same thing we discussed last year and the year before. We're back with another bill that harms West Coast fisheries and tribal interests, undermines state law, micromanages the most complex water system in the world, and in a way that definitely benefits a select few at the expense of many others across the state of California. And given the many issues with this bill, I will request an open rule, Mr. Chairman, so we can try and minimize the bill's harmful language through the amendment process. I hope that someday, again, we'll have a chance to discuss a true, comprehensive, west-wide approach to our water shortages and droughts that we know are only going to become more frequent and more severe with climate change, instead of divisive ideas that do pit our state's water users against each other and our needs against each other. Like the past several California water bills from my Republican colleagues that have been rushed through, this bill was crafted behind closed doors, has received virtually no public review or scrutiny. That means no outreach to tribal interests, to the fishing industry, to the state's many and varied water districts, or to state and federal water agencies with responsibility for clean water and fisheries management. And it's pretty clear why that short-circuited process exists. When this bill is examined closely, it begins to fall apart. There are all sorts of unintended consequences, perhaps some intended consequences that don't withstand public scrutiny very well. The Interior Department wrote a withering 3-page letter about this bill last week in lieu of testimony. I'll just quote a little bit of that. I quote, "Instead of increasing water supplies, H.R. 2898 dictates operational decisions and imposes an additional new legal standard. Instead of saving water, this could actually limit water supplies by creating new and confusing conflicts with existing laws and thereby adding an unnecessary layer of complexity to federal and state project operations. As a result of this additional standard, we, the Interior Department, believe H.R. 2898 will slow decision-making, generate significant litigation, and limit the real-time operational flexibility that is so critical to maximizing water delivery." Unfortunately, this bill, like previous ones, has not had the kind of hearing where witnesses, experts, water managers would tell us about the merits of the bill or the lack of such merits. And instead, we're once again rushing to the floor with a piece of legislation that simply redistributes water, primarily to the benefit of a number of large industrial farming operations in the San Joaquin Valley at the expense of lots of other stakeholders, other regions, and other values. I have introduced a drought response bill, as I said, Mr. Chairman, H.R. 2983, that includes significant resources to support farm workers and others who are out of work, as well as long-term investments in water supply reliability. If my Republican colleagues truly care about the challenges faced by farm workers and others affected in this drought, I hope they'll join me in backing some real solutions and provide meaningful assistance that stretch our existing limited water supply. My bill is also supported by the Association of California Water Agencies, California Association of Sanitation Agencies, numerous other water agencies, environmental groups, and stakeholders. Yet despite the importance of this issue, we continue to see no real legislative hearings on the subject, not in the last Congress, not in this Congress, and not on this bill, not yet on my bill either. In addition to farm worker jobs, there are jobs at stake here up and down the coast. H.R. 2898 guts fishery protections that support thousands of fishing industry jobs, not just in California, but also in Oregon and all the way up to Washington State and Alaska. We last suffered a closure of the West Coast salmon fishery in 2008 and 2009, and that required $158 million in disaster relief from Congress. Passing this bill will make another devastating fishing season closure in the near future much more likely. This bill is guaranteed to create legal uncertainty for local communities and water managers. It expressly preempts state water law and waives and weakens the application of bedrock federal environmental laws like the Endangered Species Act and NEPA. The scope of harmful provisions in this bill is matched only by the number of really important provisions that are not in the bill. If enacted, this bill does nothing to prevent the hundreds of billions of gallons of water that are lost each year simply because of aging and inefficient infrastructure. It does nothing to capture the hundreds of thousands of acre-feet of wastewater that could be reused for agriculture, industry, even drinking water throughout the state of California. Local water and wastewater agencies are crying out for federal leadership on this. They want Congress to do something to help on this front, and this bill is silent on those opportunities. This bill will do nothing to solve California's water problems through a thoughtful, science-based, stakeholder-inclusive process. A near-unanimous California legislature, on the other hand, stepped up to this challenge last year. They passed a multi-billion-dollar water bond measure. They've crafted significant water reforms in full public view, with hearings, with oversight and transparency. It's possible to solve water problems, but it does need to be done in a deliberative, collaborative, and transparent way. And it's my hope that eventually Congress will give that a try. I stand ready to work across the aisle on real solutions that will improve our water supply picture and not simply reignite water wars in California and other western states. At the very least, Mr. Chairman, I would hope this committee would provide an open rule so we can really try to address some of the very harmful provisions in this bill. And with that, I yield back.